The things I do for you people. Ugh. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Crispy here with another video. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long, but I just got off the truck. I'm starting a new job. I got pretty much a new setup from what you guys saw with the last video. Got a new mic, got a stand over here, so everything seems to be going, pretty well. So today we're going to be starting a new playlist called Bad Movie Night. And what better movie to start with than the worst movie I have ever seen in my entire life, The Last Airbender. Now, this honestly took about, I don't know, almost a week to watch because it is just that bad. If you guys can't tell, I'm a big fan of the original series. It's on Netflix. I've been watching it. I love it. But to be completely honest, no one that loves Avatar loves this movie. Or at least no one that I know that loves Avatar loves this movie. And I hate it. Like, completely and utterly. I have about, 3 pages of notes written, and then 8 pages of notes that I'm actually reading off of my computer. So, yeah. It's bad. So Netflix has their synopsis of The Last Airbender, and I quote, "In a world ravaged by the Fire Nation's aggressions towards the peaceful air, water, and earth nations, a boy holds the key to restoring peace." Now, Netflix, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to look at it like this. I haven't seen the back of the actual DVD because that thing will not enter my house or my mind or anything else. After this thing is just gonna burn. But I'm sorry that you had to put that because there's a lot more to the actual Avatar series. And overall, this is a pretty good synopsis of what this movie is because it is so far from the actual series that it's laughable. So we have to thank for this complete abomination M. Night Shyamalan. He also worked on things like After Earth, The Happening, The Glass Trilogy, and The Sixth Sense. Now, I know I'm making this video kind of in the late parts of, everything because everyone's seen this movie or at least should have seen this movie. So if you haven't, spoiler alert, letting you know now. All right, let's get back to it. So M. Night Shyamalan is the reason that we have this abomination. It was made in 2010, and it is an hour and 43-minute long movie. It was actually made in Greenland and Pennsylvania and all around like Mount Penn. So like there's a lot of scenes in here that I actually enjoy, and I got to give that up to the people who did the VFX, the CGI, the 3D, all of the everything for visuals. That goes to Industrial Light Magic. Now, they have done a slew of things. I mean, just a bunch. I'm gonna read them off because I have them written down here. I'm sorry, I'm reading off my thing. This is just how I do. So, they've done stuff from the Star Wars franchise, E.T., Shrek, Back to the Future, the Die Hard franchise, The Godfather, Mission Impossible, the Jurassic Park franchise, Men in Black, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and most notably today, SpongeBob on the Run, which, if you want me to review that, let me know. It could be another one of them bad movies because it's really starting to look like one. Either way, this movie is starring Noah Ringer as Aang, Nicole Peltz as Katara, Jackson Rathbone as Sokka, David Patel as Zuko, and Shanto as Iroh. Now, I do apologize if I have missaid anybody's names, but I'm sorry. Like, people misspell my name all the time and missay my name all the time. I understand the frustration. I apologize. Now, Nicole Peltz went on to do some actually cool things. She was Tessa Yeager in Transformers, Jackson Rothbone went on to be Jasper Hale in Twilight, or Hale, or whatever you want to call it. I didn't watch it. I'm sorry, I didn't. Dev Patel went. He was Jamal Malik in Slumdog Millionaire, and Shanto was Ho Yinsen, the actual doctor that saved Iron Man in Iron Man. He actually was going through the Iron Man series, so that's actually pretty cool to me. So the next thing I want to start with is the good. We got the good, we got the bad, and that's about it. That's all I got. So we're gonna start with the good because it's actually the shortest list of it, and then we're gonna go through all of the problems. All right. So what I liked in this series was the opening of the Paramount. The Paramount sign with all the water. The stars are like little water balls, and it's pretty cool. I like the Nickelodeon title screen as it was fire, and trying to make a joke, or trying to make a joke that Nickelodeon's fire. It was not fire with this. I love the fighting and choreograph. It looks like it took a lot of effort. In the original show, like they took a lot from actual kung fu and different martial arts and stuff of that nature. I wish I would have looked up the man's name, but they actually had a choreographer who knew all of the martial arts in which that all of the elements were based off of. Now, in the movie, it's not the same, nowhere near, because everything kind of looks like kind of one centralized martial arts. But overall, I know that took effort. It looked like it took effort, and I got to give them props to where it goes. The visual effects and the locations are amazing. Like, they are beautiful. I cannot tell you guys that enough. I'm trying to, use better words. The music was decent. Like, it wasn't Hans Zimmerman, but it was decent. I can't really say anything. It was nice to have some temple expansion. It was interesting, as well as the flashbacks. Like, in the original series, there were a lot of flashbacks as well. But in this one, it was nice to see, some diversity in it, and seeing the monks and everything, and just looking at how they would do the air nomads if they were actually alive, which I would love to see something like that made by the same company that did the effects, but not M. Night Shyamalan. Just no. The statues that were in parts of the that were in the temple, those were gorgeous. I can't tell you. I'm like, wow, they actually look like they belong here. They look like it's an actual representation of what was supposed to be in the first couple of episodes. But I digress. The mask that Zuko wears as the Blue Spirit, that one looks great. It seems kind of authentic, at least to me, in my, not so keen eye. It looks pretty cool to me. I liked him, honestly, I like Zuko better when he wasn't trying to firebend, but we'll get to that in a minute. The glider is very pretty. It has a lot of nice patterns on it. I thought it was something, I think that they took a lot of time to do. And so I have to give, props. The costumes that everybody wears, all of the attire and everything, actually seems like it's from the nations in which that they are from. It's not mix matching and stuff like that. Granted, you make the Earthbenders look kind of like garbage, but since the only scene you see them in is when they're in prison, I can't really say anything. The Sokka and Yue stuff was adorable. That is probably the best part of this movie by far. Like, it was just adorable. It was fun to watch. They were fun to watch. I loved it. And, there's a lot wrong with this, but I gotta keep going. Okay, so the Spirit Oasis looked pretty accurate to the actual show. It was pretty as well, the grass and everything and the tree. It looked like a good adaptation. I can honestly say that the Oasis in the Northern Water Tribe was a good adaptation. A lot of people have a problem with the chant in when the Fire Nation's coming in to the Northern Water Tribe. The ooh. I like that because it's actually the music. It's just a vocal from the music of the the show. Like, it's cool. I like that. You know what? That between that and UA, like, it's just the Northern Water Tribe. Once I get to the Northern Water Tribe, which is the last scenes of the movie, I like it. I like that. The lizards and machines and the animatronics of it, the animation, they look very well done. I wish we would have saw more of that, but can't do everything cool because apparently you don't have a budget. The spirit world does have that eerie vibe that I'm liking. Once we actually get to the dragon and everything, it's like, ooh, this is the spirit world. It actually makes me feel like we're in the spirit world of the show. I give it props. UA was the only one in this entire movie that had good dialogue. I don't care how you feel. This is how I feel. She was the only one that had good dialogue. Besides Katara opening her mouth in the last scene, the bowing scene where Aang actually bows to everybody to take on the actual role of being the Avatar was actually a good scene. I like that. Also the tidal wave. The tidal wave looked really cool. Granted, it was just a scare, but it was really cool. Like, tidal wave. My back popped. So now we get to the bad, and there's a lot, and I'm gonna run through them. Try not to get off topic, but we're gonna run through them. Okay, so at the beginning of this, so I wrote all of this in as I'm watching it, so I'm gonna read it as I was watching it. So the good was as I was watching it, and the bad is as I was watching it. So we're gonna have to go all the way back to the beginning to say the bad. Now, the bad, the opening dialogue, like literally from the moment someone said a word, it was awful. You literally could have ripped it from the show and put it in there, like verbatim. You had everything there. Like, nothing here needed to be redone. You could have just pulled it and put it. But no, you had to make it into something that it wasn't. Aang is the bridge between the spirit worlds. As we've seen in the show, other people have had interactions with spirits. Again, we've got Heibai and we've got Ko the Face Stealer. Like, these are spirits that people have had interactions with. Aang is not the only one that can talk to spirits. Calm down. Then we get to when Katara and Sokka were at the were in the beginning where she's waterbending, whoosh, and you get the water ball. Everyone has a problem with the water ball. It makes no sense how much water that water ball is losing. It is losing so much water that it would have been, there wouldn't be anything left. At least make it smaller. Now, I do not blame Industrial for this, because M. Night Shyamalan's dream had to be a reality. They're like, look, this doesn't make sense, but he's like, I don't care. So I don't blame them. I blame him either way. During the following scene, Sokka looks way too serious. It actually looks like he's about to hit Katara. He goes up to her, like he's about to hit her, and she's like, I'm sorry. I can't do that. Like, yo, Katara is a bad one. She is a bad one in the show. She's like, I am sick of all that you're trying to do. I am trying to learn waterbending because I'm the only one around here that can do it. And Sokka is a sexist pig who's like, you should just be, cleaning my clothes and letting me fish and do whatever. Like, but that worked. In this, there was none of that chemistry. None. Katara's character development, or lack of there, was so rushed and unbelievable in some areas, and it was just, oh. Sokka and Katara's mother was not put in prison. She was killed in front of Katara, which led to her confronting her killer later on in the series, where, you know, she and Zuko went to go for the Southern Raiders and she almost killed a guy. That I have a problem with. I have a problem with it. I don't know if anyone else has a problem with it, but I have a problem with it. Okay. The next part is when, you know, they're hitting the actual ice. It's so unbelievable. Okay. The ice ball looks really staged. Like, you hit the ice, you're surrounded by, one, you're surrounded by ice. Two, you live here. How do you not know that this thing is gonna cave in? Like, you hit it once, twice, that is some thin ice. Come on. Then the ice ball somehow shoots from the ground, but it seems like it's kind of pulled by a string. Like, no. It's a very unbelievable scene, and I just can't with it. The actors' facial expressions and voices are extremely monotone. I don't mean just in this part of the movie, but I mean across the board. Just extremely monotone and kind of bland. Like, it was very hard to watch. This movie was very hard to listen to these people, because you see someone in this ice and you have no reaction, none. And then Sokka says, "This might be a Fire Nation trick." Then have something, like some sort of facial expression, please. In the original series, they notice that someone's in the ice, and in order to rescue that person, Katara goes and actually hits the ice, which makes sense. But in this one, they don't even acknowledge that somebody's in the ice. They're just like, it's a ball of ice. Katara, don't do that. Swing. No. Like, in this way, it just seems like Katara is doing this in spite of Sokka, instead of it being a rescue attempt. Oh, man. Okay, so when, you know, Aang actually gets out and everything, and, you know, he's unconscious, they go and see, and, you know, Sokka asks, is he alive or something like that? Katara doesn't even check. Like, she's just sitting there. Uh-huh. Like, check. See something. Like, give me something. And then we skip all of the backstory that initially introduces Aang to the audience and shows his personality, you know, with the penguin sledding and being an air nomad and everything else. We skip all that. And we also skip the dream that he has in between the scene of them going to the water tribe, going to the tribe. We skip all that. So now we don't even have an explanation of how he got in the ice. And that was just such... I'm like, you guys had everything set up. Why did you do this? And so then, you know, Sokka comes up with his little band of kids, which you would think that would be kind of the scene where, you know, Sokka's trying to teach the boys how to be boys and, you know, go and defend your water tribe like he had to do. Like, you know, he wanted to learn, and where Sokka wanted to impress his father and be proud, let his father be proud of him. But no, instead, Sokka nonchalantly goes in and says, the Fire Nation is here. Okay, where was the black soot? Where was all of this that actually indicated the Fire Nation was here? And then skipping all the scenes to explain Zuko and Iroh, we just get him here. Like, he just comes up and he's like, I am the prince. I was about to say, I am the prince of all Saiyans, but no, he's like, I am the Fire Nation prince. My name is Zuko. What? We had an entire scene of him explaining he has to go catch the Avatar to get his honor back, and Iroh teaching him the advanced set. You will teach me the advanced set, old man. But they don't introduce them, and Zuko just, you know, apparently shows up. They're also skipping the scene of the boat. the whole penguin sledding, and then they get to the boat, and it's the Fire Nation boat that's been plaguing the villagers, kind of as a remembrance of what happened when all the waterbenders were taken away and all this other stuff and killed. Like, that is gone. And so it doesn't explain how Zuko found the village, because that's the whole ending of the first episode is, Katara and Aang triple wire in the boat, and bing bada boom, Zuko finds them from the flare. But instead, all that setup is gone, and Zuko's just here. Also, Zuko's scar looks more like he's been crying for a long time. I can't take that one. I actually got it from one of my friends. I won't say her name because, confidentiality. But I got it from one of my friends. And I looked at it and like, yeah, that looks about right. It's awful. Grandma was introduced, and she had no character development. Nothing. Like within the show, there was a whole thing. She's old. She's not cranky, but she's an old lady. Like, she was cute, and she was an old lady, and she was wise. Like, you got all that within that small period of time. But with this, you just get grandma, not grandma. Okay. And she's introduced by everyone pulling all the elderly out, and it's just awful. Okay, so then we're let's see. My next thing was, who is the sensible one? In the original series, Sokka tries and fails to take on the Fire Nation ship as it comes on. He's at his watch point thing, and it sinks because Zuko just kind of bulldozes it down. And then he goes up for the water tribe, and then Zuko just kicks him. There's none of that in this. You really don't see any of that. Him being the only adult male in the water tribe. You kind of just see he's there, and then he's about to do something, and Katara's like, no, don't do anything. What? Excuse you? My home is being invaded. I'm going to go do something. And then when Gran comes out, then you want to be like, oh no, I can't control myself. I'm going to use waterbending. And Sokka's like, no, don't do that. Chill. Who's the sensible one here? You're both hot-headed. You both can't be hot-headed. Makes no sense. All right. Aang is dragged out into the open, and then wants to be all brave. F all that noise. It's not a sacrifice that he does. It's more like, I'm hiding here away from everybody. And then he gets dragged out. And then it's like, are you the Avatar? Leave these people alone. Are you the Avatar? I'll go with you. There's no sacrifice, so there's no emotion in that. There's no reason for us to be like, oh man, he actually, came again, because he was banished from the tribe in the original series and came back and was like, if I go, will you leave these people alone? Nah, none of that. It's just, I'm dragged out here and I'm a prisoner. No. Also, the lag between the bending in this entire movie is just god awful. I'll get to the actual bending in a second, but just the lag between the choreograph and then the actual element doing something is so large. Can't deal. All right. Sokka originally was, in the original series, was actually ready to go save Aang because he had sacrificed him for the village. And this is like he's totally against Aang still. This is a common thing throughout the movie. He actually doesn't like Aang at all. And the conversation, in the original series, it was, Sokka, we have to, and then Katara. And then it's like, no, you have to listen to me. We're going to go, and then Katara, and then blah, 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 blah. Katara, Are you getting in the boat or not? That was a cool scene. That was a great scene. That was a thing of Sokka growing up. He's like, yes, this boy has saved our village. We got to go rescue him. This is our responsibility. In this, it's like, Katara, why should we go and do this? Because he's our responsibility. I don't care. He's our responsibility, though. Fine. Also, this village isn't that big. In the original series, when Aang leaves because he's banished, Appa and everybody go with him, and he leaves Appa there so that way, no one sees. But in this, Appa is right in the village. Are you telling me that no one saw this bison? No one? Also, this was a very traumatic experience. How are you guys just playing around? How are you just okay after being raided? Like, I don't understand. Do you need a hug? Is this okay? Are you guys okay to be like this? We also find out that instead of, the Fire Nation being power hungry and militarism words, a military force, kind of. It's more the Fire Nation doesn't want to live by the spiritual ways, so instead they're just going to be racist and kill everybody. I don't know. I don't get this. Next, we get to the Avatar test. Now, I thought that was kind of weird because you didn't really have to do it. It never happened. There was really no point. But I guess for, movie's sake, I'll give it a pass because it's one of those things you gotta adapt it because you kind of skipped all of everything else explaining why he's the Avatar. So now you actually have to be like, we're going to give you a test. And for a warship, there's, 1 to 3 guards? The fight scene was just awful between him and Zuko. Like, in the original series, he is going and, flipping him up on with a mattress. And their fight scene is an actual thing. He's going through the ship trying to find his way out. There are guards and everything. It makes sense. In this, it really doesn't. He just, I'm outie, and closes the door behind him. And then, oh my gosh, 3 guards fly away and goes out the door. Like, really? Also, like, this is the first time not the first time, but we see this ship when they come into the Water Tribe. You're telling me that you couldn't have the boat scene with him tripping the wire and sending Zuko, the signal of the flare when we have boats throughout this entire movie? Trifling. Okay. So then we skip the whole Avatar state in the on Zuko's boat, which actually solidifies him as the Avatar. And, he's, doing his whole tornado of water and messing up Zuko's ship, which sets up everything after that. We're skipping all of that and just... Let me see. What did I say? Guess it wouldn't make sense anyways because as it has no parallel to go to since the whole dream scene was skipped, explaining why he would go into the Avatar state when he's in the water in the first place. He gets knocked into the water and he goes into the Avatar state to create the ball, but in this one he goes in and creates the tornado. So I guess it really wouldn't make sense since you skipped all that. All right, so we get it past all that. And instead of traveling to the North Pole to find a waterbending master, they're trying to figure out what the Fire Nation's plan is. Like, Aang gets up on Appa and it's like, the Fire Nation is planning something. We need to figure it out. Your whole deal to go to the North Pole, to do anything, was to find a waterbending master for one, Katara. Katara wanted a waterbending master. And he needed to learn water anyway. So, like, it makes sense. This does not. Okay. Since this is actually, I put this in there. I know I should have put this at the beginning because this is the actual worst part of this movie. But because everybody had been introduced at this point, I can actually say this. So, Sokka is Soka, Aang is Ong, and Iroh is Ero. Screw you, M. Night Shyamalan. You did not watch any of this. Now, for video's sake, I'm not gonna call them Ong, Sokka, and Ero. I'm going to call them by the actual names because just no. But just know that their names were messed up so badly. As we're going through, we go through into one of the Earth Kingdoms, and no, my bad, not the Earth Kingdoms. We go into kind of a monologue thing of him going into the Southern Air Temple, and in the monologue he explains that he went into the Avatar state, and not he went to the Avatar. That he was about to drown. Him and Appa were about to drown. He formed a ball of ice, and he doesn't remember anything. Now this is a problem because there's a reason that he doesn't remember anything. In the Avatar state, he went into the Avatar state, created the ball, and then he doesn't remember anything because he had been frozen for how long? Like this just remember, this was explained at this point in the movie that he was had formed the ice ball while they were about to drown. Just remember this. Now, we're about 20 minutes into this movie, and they finally reveal his name as Ong. Why? It took you 20 minutes to say Ong. That's horrible. Momo's introduction was wrong. A lot of lost comedy bits were lost because of Momo being introduced the way that he was. Since the boat scene was skipped, no one told Aang about the war. So the initial reaction to all of his people being dead kind of didn't have that emotional attack that it really had in the series. Like, you actually felt for this man because he was in denial that all of his people were gone. And this is more like, I know where they're at. They're just all doing this, that, or the other. Like, no. I'm just sorry. The setup for everything was so far gone that it's just awful. Also, Monkey Otso was just another body on the ground. Like, he wasn't going out like the G that we saw in the show. He had a whole bunch of, just dead firebenders coming up to him. He was out. He was going out like a gangster. But they just showed him on the ground and, his pendant where Aang found it. How hard would it have been to have the bodies with Fire Nation armor up against him? Like, how hard would this have been? Him entering the Avatar state in this part of the story made no sense because if you notice in the original series, it took him being in the presence of, a spiritual source for him to enter into the Avatars, not the Avatar state, but the spirit world at this time. So it really makes no sense. Also, why a dragon spirit? Like, was that supposed to represent Roku or something? It made no sense. Like, I like the way the dragon looked, but why? Why the dragon? Then you had some random encounter with General Zhao. Since they skipped Aang wrecking the ship, it doesn't, that all set up, him having to go to port to get the boat fixed and General Zhao being there and finding out how the Avatar is still alive and all this other stuff. That's how that originally went. But in this, they're at a table and it's dinner time and I'm going to be a dick and just say awful things, like just antagonize everybody in the room, or just pretty much Zuko, antagonize him, and he's not going to do anything because I'm surrounded by all my boys. Like, coward. Also in this scene, Zuko is bending fire, about to attack Zhao. Now, I don't know about you guys, but you can see everything right here. You guys are about as far as the people were from the head table that Zuko and everybody was at. He is bending fire. It is going this slow, mind you. No one saw that? I call BS. In Zhao's taunt, Zuko is banished, but is still a part of the Fire Nation. The taunting was completely unnecessary, and instead of just taking it from the show, they did just some half-baked writing, and this was the outcome. Instead of the Agni Kai scene that we're supposed to get, that actually demonstrates Zuko's power and prowess and his ability with martial arts and firebending, we get this half-baked scene that's him kind of flipping guys over and then at the end chucking fireballs at them while they're down. Like, yo, this made no sense. And also, Iroh isn't teaching him anything. Like, he's supposed to be teaching him all of the things like Azula is currently learning from, the sisters, learning from a master so that way he can perfect his bending. Iroh isn't teaching him anything. He's just kind of there. Now, while I think that Iroh looks cool in a lot of this stuff, I like his dreads, I like his outfit and his garments, and I like the fact that they kept him kind of jovial. Not really. He kind of reminds me of, if you've seen Aladdin, he kind of reminds me of Sultan, and how he was jovial and now he's like really serious, but he still has kind of that jovial vibe a bit. Like, I can give them that. They skip going to see Boomy, so I already hate this because Boomy's my favorite character besides, where's she at? Toph. Can you see her? Toph. Besides that, like, they just skip Boomy and preventing the acknowledgement of like Sozin's comment, because that was one thing that was introduced during that was Sozin's comment giving them a deadline to defeat the Fire Nation, and explaining how letting Aang kind of be like, wow, things have really changed throughout the years. Jackson Rothbone as Sokka is trying so hard to not look at the camera in the rest of these scenes. Like, this was when they were getting attacked. This was when they were getting attacked by the Fire Nation whenever they were saving the young boy, and how Katara ice. Yeah, he's looking like Katara, and the whatchamacallit, and the camera's right here. He's trying to look here, but slightly looking over here. It makes no sense. So unfortunately, due to the fact that I am actually cat sitting right now, we are going to have to make this a part 1. I'm sorry. I know I haven't put out a video in a while, but again, this is probably going on, 5-6 minutes at this point. It's okay. Next video, we'll go through the next part of this, and then I'll finally be done with The Last Airbender, M. Night Shyamalan version forever, and we can finally get on with life. So this is Chris, signing off.